The rain was hitting the window hard that October morning when Luna woke up in her small room. She could hear her stepmother Alice moving around downstairs, opening and closing cabinet doors with more force than usual. Luna knew that sound meant trouble was coming. Luna had been blind since she was 7 years old. A car accident took away her sight, but it also took away her parents. Well, almost. Her father survived, but he was never the same after losing his wife. He married Alice 2 years later, hoping she would help take care of Luna. But when her father died last year, everything changed. Alice never wanted a blind stepdaughter. She made that clear every single day. "You're nothing but a burden," Alice would say whenever Luna asked for help. "I can't even go out with my friends because I have to watch you all the time." But Luna wasn't helpless. She had learned to cook simple meals, clean the house, and even do laundry. Her fingers could tell her everything she needed to know. She could fold clothes better than most people who could see. She knew every corner of their small house, every creaky board, every door handle. What Luna loved most was music. She had a beautiful voice that could make people stop whatever they were doing just to listen. Sometimes she would sit by her bedroom window and sing softly. The neighbors would slow down when they walked past their house, drawn to the sweet sound floating through the air. Mrs. Peterson next door once told her, "Luna, honey, you have a gift from heaven. That voice of yours could heal broken hearts." Luna dreamed of becoming a music teacher one day. She wanted to help other children find joy in singing and playing instruments. In her mind, she could see herself standing in front of a classroom, teaching kids how music could make them feel better when they were sad or scared. But Alice had different plans. The bills were piling up on the kitchen table. The house payment was 3 months behind. The electricity company had already sent 2 warning letters. Alice worked at a small diner in town, but the money was never enough. And having Luna around meant Alice couldn't work extra shifts. "I should have put you in some kind of home when your father died," Alice muttered one evening while counting bills. "At least then I could work more hours and maybe get ahead." Luna pretended not to hear, but the words cut deep. She tried to help more around the house, hoping Alice would see how useful she could be. She learned to use the washing machine by counting the clicks of the dial. She memorized where everything belonged in the kitchen. She even started walking to the small grocery store by herself, using her white cane to navigate the familiar streets. But nothing Luna did seemed to matter. Alice grew more bitter each day. Then David Richardson came to town. David was a successful businessman from the city. He owned several companies and had more money than anyone in their small town had ever seen. His expensive car and tailored suits made him stand out like a peacock among pigeons. But David wasn't in town to show off his wealth. He was there because his mother was getting worse. David's mother, Rose, had been living alone in the old family house on the hill. She was 82 years old and starting to forget things. Sometimes she would call David in the middle of the night, confused about where she was. Other times she would forget to eat for days. David knew she needed someone to take care of her, but finding the right person seemed impossible. The first 3 caregivers he hired didn't last a week. Rose was suspicious of strangers and refused to let anyone help her. She would hide in her room when they came, or she would accuse them of stealing things that were just misplaced. David was running out of options and running out of time. That's when Alice heard about David's problem. Alice was serving coffee at the diner when David came in one afternoon. He looked tired and frustrated. He was talking on his phone about needing to find someone patient and kind to help his mother. Someone who wouldn't get upset when Rose forgot their name or repeated the same story 10 times. Alice's mind started working. She watched David for the next few days, learning more about his situation. She found out he was willing to pay very well for the right person. She also learned that David was desperate enough to consider unusual arrangements. The idea that came to Alice was terrible, but she was desperate too. The bank had called that morning threatening to take the house. The electricity would be shut off next week if she didn't pay. She needed money fast, and she needed to get rid of the burden that was holding her back. Luna had no idea what Alice was planning. She spent her days as usual, helping around the house and practicing her singing. She had been working on a new song she heard on the radio, trying to memorize all the words. Music was her escape from the sadness that filled their home. One evening, Alice came home later than usual. She had been at the diner talking to David. Luna could smell cigarette smoke on Alice's clothes, which was strange because Alice didn't smoke. She could also hear something different in Alice's voice. There was an excitement there mixed with something that made Luna feel uneasy. "Luna, come here," Alice called from the kitchen. We need to talk. Luna made her way carefully down the stairs, one hand sliding along the wall for guidance. She found Alice sitting at the kitchen table with papers spread out in front of her. I found you a job, Alice said, but her tone didn't sound happy about it. There's a man in town who needs someone to help take care of his mother. The pay is really good. Luna felt a flutter of hope in her chest. A job meant she could help with the bills. Maybe Alice would stop being so angry all the time if there was more money coming in. What kind of help does his mother need? Luna asked. Just basic stuff. Keeping her company, making sure she eats, helping her around the house. The man said his mother likes music, so your singing might be good for her. Luna's heart started beating faster. This sounded perfect. She could help someone and use her love of music at the same time. When do I start? Luna asked. Alice paused. When she spoke again, her voice was flat and cold. Tomorrow. You'll be living there. It's a live-in position. Living there? Luna felt confused. But what about here? What about home? This is your home now, Alice said. Pack your things tonight. He's picking you up in the morning. Luna wanted to ask more questions, but something in Alice's voice told her to stop. There was a finality there that scared her. She went upstairs to pack her few belongings, her hand shaking as she folded her clothes. That night, Luna lay in bed listening to the rain and wondering what tomorrow would bring. She had no idea that Alice had just sold her like a piece of property. She had no idea that David had agreed to pay Alice's debts in exchange for Luna's services. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. All Luna knew was that she was leaving the only home she had known since her father died. She was going to live with strangers and take care of an old woman she had never met. She was scared, but she was also hopeful. Maybe this new job would be the start of something better. As she drifted off to sleep, Luna whispered a small prayer that tomorrow would bring kindness instead of more pain. She had no way of knowing that her prayer was about to be answered in the most unexpected way. The black car pulled up to the house at exactly 9 in the morning. Luna heard the engine first, then the car door slamming shut. Heavy footsteps walked up the front path. She sat on her small suitcase by the door, wearing her best dress and holding her white cane. Alice opened the door before David could knock. She's ready, Alice said quickly, like she wanted to get this over with as fast as possible. Good morning, Luna, David said. His voice was deeper than Luna expected, but there was something gentle in it. I'm David Richardson. Are you ready to meet my mother? Luna nodded, not trusting her voice. Her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. Alice grabbed Luna's suitcase and practically pushed her toward the door. Everything she owns is in that bag, Alice told David. She won't be needing anything from here anymore. David frowned at Alice's cold tone, but he didn't say anything. He gently took Luna's arm. My car's right here. Let me help you. As they walked to the car, Luna heard Alice shut the front door behind them. No goodbye, no good luck. Just the sound of a door closing on the only life Luna had known. David helped Luna into the passenger seat and put her suitcase in the back. The car smelled like leather and expensive cologne. Luna had never been in such a nice car before. The seats were soft and everything felt new. It's about a 20-minute drive to my mother's house, David said as they pulled away. She's excited to meet you. Well, as excited as she gets these days. Luna wanted to ask questions, but she didn't know where to start. Instead, she listened to the sounds outside the car window. They drove through the center of town, past the diner where Alice worked, past the small grocery store Luna knew so well. Then the sounds changed. The traffic got quieter. The road got smoother. We're going up the hill now, David explained. My mother's house sits on about 5 acres. It's peaceful up here. Lots of birds and trees. I think you'll like the sounds. Luna had heard about the big houses on the hill, but she had never been up there. Rich people lived in those houses, people who seemed to exist in a different world from hers. The car finally stopped, and David turned off the engine. We're here, he said. When Luna stepped out of the car, the first thing she noticed was how quiet it was. No traffic sounds, no neighbors talking loudly, just the sound of wind moving through trees and birds singing in the distance. The air smelled clean and fresh, like it had been washed by the rain. The house is big, David said, taking her arm again. But don't worry about getting lost. You'll only need to know a few rooms to start with. They walked up what felt like stone steps. Luna could hear a fountain nearby, water trickling softly. David opened a heavy door, and Luna heard it echo slightly as they stepped inside. The house felt enormous. Their footsteps echoed on what sounded like marble floors. Luna could smell flowers, probably from fresh arrangements. Everything felt expensive and important. "Mother," David called out. "I'd like you to meet Luna." They walked through what felt like a long hallway. Luna could sense high ceilings above her and large rooms opening up on either side. Finally, they stopped and David knocked on a door. "Mother, may we come in?" A weak voice answered from inside. "Who's we?" "I don't like strangers." David opened the door anyway. "Luna is here to help you. She's going to be staying with us." The room smelled like lavender and old books. Luna could hear the soft tick of a clock and feel warm sunlight coming through what must be large windows. "Hello, Mrs. Richardson," Luna said softly. "I'm Luna. I'm here to keep you company." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice spoke again, sounding surprised. "You sound young."
"How old are you, dear?"
"I'm 19, ma'am." "19, Rose repeated. "My goodness. David, she's just a child herself." Luna heard David shift uncomfortably. "She's very capable, Mother. And she has special skills that will help her understand your needs." Luna realized David was trying not to mention her blindness directly. She decided to speak up. "Mrs. Richardson, I can't see. I've been blind for many years, but that means I'm very good at listening and noticing things that other people might miss." Rose was quiet for a long time. Then Luna heard the sound of feet shuffling across the floor. Rose was walking toward her. "May I touch your face, dear?" Rose asked gently. Luna nodded. She felt soft, wrinkled hands carefully touching her cheeks and forehead. Rose's hands were warm and reminded Luna of her grandmother, who had died when Luna was little. "You have a kind face," Rose said finally. "And such pretty hair." "David, why didn't you tell me she was blind?" "I thought it might worry you," David admitted. "Worry me? Nonsense, I think it's perfect. She won't be looking at me like I'm crazy when I forget things. She won't roll her eyes when I tell the same story twice." Luna felt a smile starting to form on her face. This wasn't what she had expected at all. "Are you hungry, Luna?" Rose asked. "I was just thinking about having some tea and cookies." "That sounds wonderful," Luna said. Rose took Luna's hand and began leading her around the room. "This is my bedroom. I spend most of my time here now. Over here is my favorite chair by the window. The view is beautiful, but I suppose that doesn't matter much to you." "I like sitting by windows anyway," Luna said. "I can feel the warmth of the sun and hear what's happening outside." "Oh, you'll love it here then. We have birds that come to the feeder right outside this window. Cardinals and blue jays and little wrens. They chatter all day long." David watched his mother in amazement. Rose hadn't been this talkative or engaged in months. Usually she would hide in her room when strangers came. But here she was giving Luna a tour and actually smiling. "Mother, I need to go back to work," David said. "Will you be all right with Luna?" "Of course we will," Rose said, waving him away. "Luna and I are going to have tea and get to know each other. Aren't we, dear?" Luna nodded, feeling more relaxed than she had in years. "Yes, ma'am. I'd like that very much." After David left, Rose led Luna to a small sitting area in her room. Luna could hear Rose moving around, probably getting the tea ready. The sounds were comfortable and homey. "Tell me about yourself, Luna," Rose said as she poured the tea. "What do you like to do?" "I love music," Luna said without hesitation. "I like to sing and I'm learning to play piano. Well, I was learning before I came here." "We have a piano downstairs in the music room," Rose said excitedly. "It hasn't been played in years. Would you like to see it after we have our tea?" Luna's heart jumped. A real piano? She hadn't touched one in months. "I would love that, Mrs. Richardson. Please, call me Rose. Mrs. Richardson makes me feel ancient." Rose laughed, and it was a sound that filled the room with warmth. As they sipped their tea, Luna began to relax. Rose told her stories about the house, about David when he was little, about the gardens outside. Luna shared some of her own stories, carefully leaving out the sad parts about Alice. When Rose asked how Luna had come to work for them, Luna hesitated. "My stepmother said you needed help and I needed a job. I think it worked out perfectly." But even as she said it, Luna felt like there was something she wasn't understanding. Something about the way Alice had been so eager to get rid of her. Something about the way David had seemed uncomfortable when he first arrived. Something about being told she would never need anything from home again. For now, though, Luna pushed those worries aside. Rose was kind and welcoming. The house was beautiful and peaceful, and somewhere downstairs was a piano waiting for her. Maybe this new life wouldn't be so scary after all. Maybe for the first time in a long while, things were going to be okay. 3 weeks had passed since Luna arrived at the Richardson house, and each day felt like a small miracle. She woke up every morning to the sound of birds singing outside Rose's bedroom window. The old woman had insisted that Luna sleep in the guest room right next to hers, saying it would be easier if she needed help during the night. But Rose rarely needed help. Instead, she seemed to be getting stronger and happier each day. Luna's presence had brought something back to life in the elderly woman that everyone thought was gone forever. Luna's favorite time of day was late afternoon when she and Rose would sit by the big window. Rose would describe everything she could see outside while Luna listened carefully, building pictures in her mind. "The maple tree is turning the most beautiful red color," Rose would say, "and there's a squirrel running up the oak tree with an acorn in his mouth. Oh, and the Petersons' cat is sneaking through our garden again." Luna loved these moments. She felt useful and wanted for the first time in years. Rose never made her feel like a burden. Instead, she made Luna feel like a treasured friend. David noticed the change in his mother immediately. When he came to visit each evening after work, he found Rose sitting up straight, her eyes bright and alert. She remembered things better when Luna was around. She ate her meals without being reminded. She even started asking about current events again. "I don't understand it," David told his business partner on the phone one evening. "It's like Luna has some kind of magic. Mother is more like herself than she's been in months." What David didn't know was that Luna had her own kind of magic. Because she couldn't see, she had learned to pay attention to sounds, smells, and feelings that other people missed. She could tell when Rose was getting tired before Rose knew it herself. She could hear the slight change in Rose's voice that meant she was feeling confused or scared. Luna would gently guide Rose back to calm waters without making her feel embarrassed about forgetting things. When Rose couldn't remember what day it was, Luna would casually mention something about the day while they talked. When Rose forgot where she put her glasses, Luna would help her find them without making a big deal about it. But the thing that brought them closest together was music. On Luna's 4th day in the house, David had kept his promise and shown her to the music room. The piano was a beautiful grand piano that had belonged to David's grandmother. It was perfectly tuned and waiting for someone to bring it back to life. When Luna first touched the keys, she felt like she was greeting an old friend. Her fingers found the familiar patterns, and soon beautiful music was flowing through the house for the first time in years. Rose heard the music from upstairs and slowly made her way down to listen. She stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face as Luna played song after song. The music seemed to unlock memories that had been hidden away for months. "That was my mother's favorite song," Rose whispered when Luna finished playing a soft melody. "I haven't heard it in 20 years. From that day forward, music became the center of their daily routine. Luna would play piano while Rose sat nearby, sometimes humming along, sometimes just listening with her eyes closed. Luna taught Rose some new songs, and Rose shared memories of the songs she had loved throughout her life. David started coming home earlier each day just to listen to Luna play. He had forgotten how much music had meant to his family. The house felt alive again, filled with sounds of joy instead of the worried silence that had lived there for so long. Luna began to feel like she belonged somewhere for the first time since her father died. Rose treated her like a granddaughter, not like hired help. David was kind and respectful, making sure Luna had everything she needed. He bought her new clothes, arranged for a doctor to check her eyes, and even started talking about getting her piano lessons with a professional teacher. "You have real talent," David told her one evening after she had played a particularly beautiful piece. "Have you ever thought about studying music seriously?" Luna's heart jumped at the possibility, but she tried not to get too excited. "I always dreamed of becoming a music teacher," she admitted. "But I never thought it could really happen." "Why not?" David asked. "There are excellent programs for visually impaired students. I could help you look into them." Luna felt tears of happiness welling up in her eyes. No one had ever talked about her dreams like they might actually come true. But even in the middle of all this happiness, Luna sometimes felt confused about how she had ended up here. David and Rose both seemed surprised by how well everything was working out, like they hadn't expected her to fit in so perfectly. Sometimes Luna heard David on the phone talking to someone about the arrangement in a voice that sounded guilty or worried. When she asked him about it, he would change the subject quickly. One afternoon, while Rose was napping, Luna was sitting in the garden when she heard David talking to someone on his cell phone near the fountain. "I know what we agreed on," David was saying quietly. "But this isn't what I expected at all. She's not just helping Mother, she's brought our whole family back to life. I can't think of her as what we originally discussed." Luna couldn't hear the other person's voice, but David sounded upset. "No, I don't want to change anything," David continued. "I just want to make sure Luna is protected. She deserves so much better than how this whole thing started." Luna felt a chill run down her spine. What arrangement? What had they originally discussed? Why did David sound so guilty? That evening, Luna tried to ask David about what she had overheard, but she didn't know how to bring it up without admitting she had been listening to his private conversation. "David," she said carefully while they were having dinner, "can I ask you something?" "Of course," David said, but Luna could hear tension in his voice. "How did you find out about me? I mean, how did you know to ask my stepmother if I could work here?" David was quiet for a long time. Luna could hear him setting down his fork and taking a deep breath. "Your stepmother came to me," he said finally. "She knew I was looking for someone to help Mother, and she suggested you for the job." That was true, but Luna could tell there was more to the story. She could hear something in David's voice that suggested he was leaving out important details. Was she happy about me taking this job?" Luna asked. Another long pause. "I think she felt it was the best solution for everyone involved," David said carefully. Luna wanted to ask more questions, but Rose called from upstairs, needing help with something. As Luna went upstairs to help her, she couldn't shake the feeling that there were secrets in this house. Secrets that involved her. But even with her growing questions, Luna couldn't deny that she was happier here than she had been anywhere else. Rose loved her. David treated her with respect and kindness. And for the first time in her life, people were talking about her dreams like they could actually come true. Whatever arrangement had brought her here, Luna was grateful for it. She just hoped that when she learned the whole truth, it wouldn't change the beautiful new life she was building. That night, as she played piano for Rose before bedtime, Luna made a silent promise to herself. No matter what secrets were hidden in her past, she would focus on building a bright future. She had found a family that loved her, and she wasn't going to let anything take that away. The truth came on a Tuesday morning in November. Luna was in the kitchen making Rose's favorite tea when she heard David's voice in his study down the hall. He was on the phone and he sounded more upset than she had ever heard him. "I don't care what our original agreement was," David was saying. "Things have changed. Luna isn't just some caregiver we hired. She's family now." Luna's hands froze on the teacup. She knew she shouldn't listen, but something in David's tone made her stay perfectly still. "Yes, I know I paid you the money," David continued, "but that doesn't give you the right to treat her like property. She's a human being, not something you can sell and buy back whenever you need cash." Luna's heart started beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. Sell and buy back? What was David talking about? "Alice, listen to me very carefully." David's voice was now cold and firm. "Luna's happy here. She's safe, she's loved, and she's building a real life. I won't let you destroy that just because you've run out of money again." Alice, Luna's stepmother, was on the phone, and from what David was saying, it sounded like Alice had sold her. Actually sold her like she was a piece of furniture or a car. Luna felt sick to her stomach. She grabbed the counter to steady herself as the full meaning of David's words sank in. Alice hadn't found her a job. Alice had sold her to David like she was property. Luna's legs felt weak. She sank into a kitchen chair, trying to process what she had just learned. All those weeks of wondering why Alice had been so eager to get rid of her. Why David sometimes seemed guilty when he looked at her. Why everyone acted surprised that things were working out so well. David's voice got louder. "No, absolutely not. You can't have her back. I don't care what your financial problems are. You made your choice when you took my money." Luna heard David hang up the phone hard. Then she heard his footsteps coming toward the kitchen. She quickly stood up and pretended to be busy with the tea, but her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped the cup. "Luna?" David's voice was gentle, but she could hear the stress in it. "Is everything all right?" Luna turned toward his voice, and she knew her face must have shown everything she was feeling. David was quiet for a moment. Then she heard him pull out a chair and sit down heavily. You heard the phone call, he said. It wasn't a question. Luna nodded, not trusting her voice. David was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was full of shame. I've been dreading this conversation for weeks. I kept hoping I could find the right way to tell you, but there is no right way. She sold me, Luna whispered. Alice actually sold me to you? Yes, David said simply. She did. Luna felt tears starting to fall down her cheeks, but she wasn't sure if they were tears of sadness or anger or both. For how much? David hesitated. Does it matter? It matters to me. Enough to pay off her debts and give her some extra money to start over somewhere else, David said quietly. Luna, I know how horrible this sounds. I know what kind of person it makes me look like. Why? Luna asked. Why did you agree to it? David sighed deeply. Because I was desperate and I wasn't thinking clearly. My mother was getting worse every day. I had tried everything to find someone who could help her and nothing was working. When Alice approached me with her proposal, I was so focused on helping Mother that I didn't think about what it meant for you. Luna wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. What exactly did Alice tell you about me? She said you were a burden to her. She said you couldn't take care of yourself, and that you would be grateful for any home that would take you in. She made it sound like she was doing you a favor by finding you a place to live. Luna laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. A burden. That's what she always called me. Luna, I need you to know something, David said urgently. From the moment you walked into this house, I knew Alice had lied about you. You're not a burden. You're not helpless. You're one of the strongest, most capable people I've ever met. But you still went through with it, Luna said. You still bought me. Yes, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life, David said. But Luna, please believe me when I tell you that's not how I think of you now. You're not property. You're not something I own. You're family. Luna stood up and walked to the window. She could feel the warm sun on her face, and she could hear the birds outside that she had grown to love. This house had become her home. Rose had become like a grandmother to her. David had become like the father she had lost. What did Alice want on the phone? Luna asked. David hesitated again. She's in financial trouble again. She wanted to know if you could come back and work for her for a while. She said she would pay me back part of the money. And what did you tell her? I told her no. I told her that you're not for sale anymore and that if she ever tries to contact you again, I'll have her arrested for human trafficking. Luna turned back toward David. Is that what it was? Human trafficking. Legally, yes. What Alice did was sell you into forced labor. It's a federal crime. Luna felt a strange mix of emotions. She was angry at Alice for betraying her so completely. She was hurt that David had gone along with it, even if he regretted it now. But she was also grateful that David was protecting her from Alice now. David, Luna said slowly, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Anything. If I wanted to leave here tomorrow, could I? Would you let me go? David was quiet for a moment. Luna, you're not a prisoner here. You never were. If you want to leave, I'll help you find a place to go. I'll help you get set up with your own apartment, your own life. I'll help you apply to music schools if that's what you want. But you'd rather I stayed. Of course I'd rather you stayed. Mother loves you and so do I. But not because I think I own you. Because you've become part of our family. Luna walked back to the table and sat down across from David. I want to stay, she said quietly. This is the first place I've ever felt truly wanted and loved. But I need to know that I'm staying because I choose to, not because I have to. You are choosing, David said firmly. And Luna, I want to make this official. I want to adopt you legally. I want you to be my daughter, not my employee. I want you to have my name and all the rights and protections that come with being part of this family. Luna felt fresh tears starting. But these were different tears. These were tears of joy and relief. What about Rose? Luna asked. What does she think about all this? Mother doesn't know the details of how you came to be here, David admitted. But she's been asking me for weeks when I'm going to make you officially part of the family. She says you belong here. Luna smiled through her tears. I'd like that. I'd like to be your daughter. Then it's settled, David said, and Luna could hear the relief and happiness in his voice. We'll start the paperwork tomorrow. As Luna sat there in the kitchen that had become her favorite room in the house, she realized something important. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us can lead to the best things in our lives. Alice's betrayal had hurt her deeply, but it had also brought her to this family that truly loved her. She was no longer the unwanted burden that Alice had sold away. She was Luna Richardson, beloved daughter and granddaughter with a bright future ahead of her. 6 months later, Luna Richardson stood in front of a classroom full of children at the Sunshine Community Center. Her official adoption papers were framed on the wall of her new apartment, right next to her certificate from the music therapy program she had just completed. Today we're going to learn about how music can help us feel better when we're sad or scared, Luna told the children. Her voice was confident and warm. Who can tell me about a song that makes them happy? A dozen small hands shot up in the air. Luna smiled as she listened to their excited voices telling her about their favorite songs. Some mentioned pop songs from the radio. Others talked about lullabies their parents sang to them. One little boy named Tommy said his favorite song was Happy Birthday because it meant cake was coming. Luna laughed along with the children. Teaching music therapy to kids who had been through difficult times had become her calling. Many of these children came from broken homes just like she had. Some had lost parents, others had been hurt by people who were supposed to protect them. Music helped them express feelings they couldn't put into words. Miss Luna, a little girl named Beth, raised her hand. Can you play the song about the rainbow again? Of course, Beth, Luna said, moving to the piano. But this time I want everyone to sing along. As Luna played and the children sang, she thought about how much her life had changed. The scared, unwanted girl who had been sold by her stepmother was gone. In her place was a confident young woman with a purpose and a family who loved her. The adoption had been finalized 3 months ago. David had hired the best lawyers to make sure everything was done properly and quickly. When the judge had signed the papers, Luna had officially become Luna Richardson, beloved daughter and granddaughter. Rose had cried happy tears that day. She had been Luna's biggest supporter throughout the whole process, telling anyone who would listen about her wonderful granddaughter, who had brought music and joy back into their lives. I always wanted a granddaughter, Rose had told the social worker during one of the home visits. God just took a little longer to bring her to me than I expected. After class ended and the children had been picked up by their parents, Luna packed up her music therapy supplies. She had evening plans that made her heart race with excitement. David was taking her to look at a house, not just any house, a house she might buy with her own money. Luna's music therapy practice had grown quickly. Word had spread through the community about the young blind woman who could work miracles with troubled children through music. She now had a waiting list of families who wanted her help. The money she was earning, combined with a trust fund David had set up for her, meant Luna could afford her own place. David had been hesitant about her moving out at first, but Luna had convinced him she was ready for independence. I'll only be 10 minutes away, she had promised him. And I'll still come for dinner every Sunday. Plus, someone needs to keep an eye on you and make sure you're taking care of Rose properly. The house David was showing her tonight was perfect for her needs. It had a large room that could be converted into a music therapy studio, a beautiful garden where she could relax between sessions, and best of all, it was close enough to David and Rose that she could visit whenever she wanted. When David picked her up from the community center, Luna could tell he was excited too. Wait until you feel this place, he said as they drove through the quiet neighborhood. It has the same peaceful feeling as Mother's house, but it's all yours. The house was everything David had promised and more. As they walked through the rooms, Luna could picture exactly how she would arrange everything. The large front room would be perfect for group therapy sessions. The smaller back room could be for one-on-one work with children who needed extra attention. There's something else, David said as they stood in what would be Luna's music studio. I got a call today from the state university. They want to offer you a scholarship to get your master's degree in music therapy. Luna felt her knees go weak. A master's degree? But I just finished my certification program. Apparently, your work with the children has impressed some important people. The head of the music therapy department wants to meet with you next week. Luna sat down on the window seat, overwhelmed by how quickly her dreams were becoming reality. Just 2 years ago, she had been living in Alice's house, believing she was nothing but a burden. Now she was being offered opportunities she had never even dared to imagine. David, Luna said quietly, do you ever wonder what would have happened if Alice hadn't brought me to you? David sat down beside her. I try not to think about that, he said. It makes me too angry at myself for almost missing out on having you as my daughter. I don't think you would have missed out, Luna said. I think somehow we would have found each other anyway. Some things are just meant to be, David put his arm around Luna's shoulders. You know what I think? I think your father and my late wife are somewhere up there, making sure we all found each other. They both loved music just like you do. Luna leaned against David's shoulder, feeling grateful for the family that had chosen her. What happened to Alice? She asked. It was something she wondered about sometimes, though she tried not to let thoughts of her stepmother take up too much space in her mind. She moved away after the legal investigation started, David said carefully. The prosecutor decided not to press charges since you didn't want to go through a trial, but Alice knew she couldn't stay in town. Last I heard, she was working in a restaurant in another state. Luna nodded. She had made the choice not to press charges because she wanted to focus on building her new life, instead of looking backward at the old one. Sometimes she wondered if Alice ever regretted what she had done, but mostly she just felt sorry for her former stepmother. Alice had given away something precious and didn't even realize what she had lost. Are you ready to make an offer on this house? David asked. Luna stood up and walked to the center of the room. She could almost hear the laughter of children who would come here for help. She could picture the piano that would sit by the big window, filling the space with healing music. Yes, Luna said firmly. I'm ready. As they drove back to the family house where Rose was waiting with dinner and stories about her day, Luna reflected on her journey. She had started as a girl who was sold like property, but she had become a woman who owned property. She had been told she was a burden, but she had become someone who helped carry other people's burdens. Most importantly, she had learned that family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes family is the people who choose to love you and stand by you no matter what. That night, as Luna played piano for Rose before bedtime, she thought about all the children she would help in her new house. She would teach them what she had learned, that even when terrible things happen, beautiful things can grow from the ashes. That being different doesn't mean being less than. That there's always hope for a better tomorrow. The scared, unwanted girl was truly gone now. In her place was Luna Richardson, daughter, granddaughter, teacher, healer, and proof that love really can triumph over everything else. As the last notes of the evening's music faded away, Luna smiled. Her story had started with betrayal and pain, but it was ending with love, purpose, and infinite possibilities, and this was just the beginning.